Okay. So, I'll talk. You just do that.
I'll just be
do
natural
that the whole time. Yeah.
Just be chill.
Hey, Reject Nation, how you doing? It's Greg Alba here.
And it's Kacey.
I'm gonna have her say her name this time. Yeah.
Say my name.
Say my name. Kacey.
We should take it on the road.
Yeah, we should do this. We're gonna watch today from a channel called What Culture. They're a fantastic channel, by the way.
Oh yeah.
10 trends that are destroying modern movies. Boy, I'm sure we'll agree with them on this. Are you ready for this, Kacey?
I'm so ready.
Let's check it out. There we go.
In this day and age of warring studios and films, it's very clear that there's a real consumer push to get bums in seats. Studios are investing more money into films than ever before, and as a result, they need their projects to be a success. So are trying everything and anything to engage potential viewers. From new technology to filling its rosters with the most famous stars, the industry is desperate to become a money machine wherever it can. It's why we have franchises, sequels, and movies based on sources already in existence. With this move, we're also getting a fair few problems. We're almost in a cliche of cinema itself, and while we are the ones that can fix this by speaking with our wallets, it turns out that we are also a huge part of the problem. So let's have a look at some of these issues together and maybe eat a bit of humble pie along the way. With this in mind, I'm Jules from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 trends that are destroying modern movies. Number 10, trailer spoilers are getting worse. Okay, so spoiler alert.
I live off that.
Engineer's ship. When Stacey dies, Hiccup's mother is alive, Lotso's the villain. Oh wait, these aren't actually spoilers. They're all major plot beats that were actually revealed in the film's respective trailers.
Oh, interesting.
This is a huge problem for films, as second or third act twists are regularly chucked into trailers in the hopes of enticing a "did you just see that" moment from viewers. Problem is that by doing this, you remove a lot of suspense and intrigue of the film going in.
That's
it also
true.
doesn't help that there are so
true.
many alternative trailers out there, each of which giving more and more of the plot away. In essence, by the time you actually see the movie, you're just doing a checklist in your head of, yep, I saw that, yep, and that. Ha, I remember that joke from the teaser.
Oh yeah,
it's just a shame.
That's
the
true.
Number 9. Blockbuster season is getting even bigger. That blockbuster season is in the summer is to some degree arbitrary. Sure, there's always been a glut of family-friendly fare released as soon as the kids are out of school, and the 4th of July is always an attractive slot because America still just about dominates the industry. But the reason May is viewed as a big release date is mainly down to origins of the blockbuster. It is, after all, the month when Star Wars first shook up the industry. The fallacy of this is slowly being shown though, with November also being a viable release spot, with Thor Ragnarok and Hunger Games catching fire cleaning up in recent times. And the big December release date has cemented itself as a thing, with Star Wars, The Hobbit and Avatar for example. But while these films released on these dates tend to live alongside the more artsy fare of awards season, summer remains a big explosion-dominated time, and it's getting longer. Marvel have slowly been pushing their big summer releases out earlier and earlier. Rather than standing out on its own, it's merely invited the competition to release earlier as well. It's good for the studios as it reduces competition, but if things stay the way they are, we might be faced with a film year that has little space for something that isn't an event blockbuster or an Oscar hopeful.
Hey, that's a good point.
That
that's a really good point.
No,
that's a good point.
There's not going to be an indie season.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
Number 8. Movies end
January.
halfway through the story. Many of the traits on this list
Movies end halfway through their story,
to put
yeah.
money ahead of artistic quality, and there's no better way to make money than to have a sequel. It used to be that the movie would tell a complete story, a beginning, middle, and an end. Maybe throw in a little tease of what might come later, like with Darth Vader flying off into the distance or the Joker card, but mostly tie up all of the loose ends. For that to happen now is rare, and many films adopt an open-ended nature that can feel quite unsatisfying. Amazing Spider-Man 2 left all of the character relationships deliriously up in the air and still didn't deal with Uncle Ben's killer. Transformers Age of Extinction left the mystery of the creators, which was a major plot point, totally unaddressed. Even Dawn of the Planet of the Apes realised it could make another film about the actual world changing, and instead had its final act essentially be the conclusion of the B story. Essentially, movies are becoming extended trailers for their own sequels, and we keep lapping them up. Number 7.
Yeah, we do.
Transformers Age of Extinction had an action scene that was suddenly transplanted in Hong Kong.
Right.
The rift in Pacific Rim was placed so that the kaiju
Oh yeah,
like
everything goes to China now.
Allowing for a major action set piece again in Hong Kong. In Looper, we've got a scene in Shanghai, the same city that Bond visited in Skyfall.
Yeah,
even Iron Man 3 had a 15 minutes extra available only in Chinese theaters.
Yeah.
It seems like movies are spending a lot of time.
Even
in China,
Disney's
right?
doing the
Well,
Mulan
the
movie.
reason behind these very similar decisions is simple. There is a lot of money in the Chinese
Ridiculous.
Transformers 4 and
think that's
Terminator
gonna be
Genesis
great.
Yeah, it will be.
cleaned up in the Far
It will
East,
be.
contributing more to the film's overall box office than America did. So it's now abundantly clear to be successful, you need to crack China, and the easiest way to do that is set your movies there. The problem is that the more prolific this becomes, the more unoriginal it will be. It might seem refreshing now to see action set in other countries, but for the same reason that we've grown fatigued of America being the play center for all the punch-ups, so too will the likes of Shanghai and Hong Kong in years to come through overexposure.
Sick of China getting
Number 6,
destroyed.
audiences complain about sequels but won't watch anything else. It's all remakes and sequels, we grumble as films spew out of the franchise factory. Yet for all of the complaints about this very real trend, we still as a viewing public only seem to engage with, you guessed it, sequels and remakes. Seriously, in the first half of this decade, only 3 films have made it into the worldwide box office top 10 that aren't based off an existing franchise or are a big animation from a certain House of Mouse. Inception, Interstellar, and Gravity. The reason behind this is that while people
Interesting.
recognise
Are
the
they all in
unoriginality
space? Was it
behind
one?
the ideas
No,
of
Inception.
Hollywood, they're
Oh, yeah,
also
yeah.
much happier seeking something familiar. A new idea is simply a risk that people won't want to take. Number 5. Musical tie-ins are getting cynically obnoxious.
Musical
In an effort to get
tie-ins?
eyes on films, studios look to tie in as many features in their films. Music is a good example of this, with artists writing special songs in order to be used in the film, and then music videos containing sequence of the film to be dropped on music channels and blah 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 blah.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
clever and has
I
worked
love
well in
that.
the past, but it's becoming more
They
on the nose than
download the
cocaine
song.
is on Scarface. Action scenes are created solely to utilize the
Kendrick?
song, and as all of the other sound dies down so you can
Black
get that
Panther?
minute of hard thumping
Black
bass, you
Panther?
realise that you're actually just watching an ad.
Oh, yeah, that's
for
true.
artists.
That was-
now
that
this
was
isn't
effective.
a huge complaint, but
one.
it's not necessarily storytelling at its finest when you watch something that a YouTuber could knock up together in their spare time. Plus, a lot of the
Oh,
time,
what?
the song never actually fits in a way that feels natural. It's like, oh, excuse me while I smash on some Shine Down while we have a fight on
What the hell is that?
horseback. Number
Oh,
4,
Dragon.
colon. Please give us a sequel. There's something rather dirty about a sequel whacking a giant number 2 on the end. It may have worked and been cool when The Godfather did it because at the
Oh,
time
I
it was
see.
groundbreaking, but now it stinks of a cheap cash-in on the original.
Extra
The
steam.
solution, used on and off ever since Star Wars, was to chuck a colon in there. Starting off small with adding a phrase to an existing title a la Babe Pig in the City, it was a bit in your face but pretty harmless. In recent years, however, it's become unbearable because nowadays it's an indication that the studio is angling hard for a franchise.
Oh.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Prince of Persia all boast first installments with an added subtitle, while Transformers, Thor, Resident Evil, The Mummy, The Purge, The Avengers, Night of the Museum, X-Men, Twilight, The Hunger Games, and Mission Impossible all added the colon for their sequels, amongst many others. As you can tell from the list, they're not all bad
Why is it
movies,
so
but
bad,
this
though?
technique fuels a sense that single movies
So
are more
Twilight.
akin to an episode of a TV series rather than an event in itself, and once again adds to the deluge of sequels already flooding the market. Number 3, product placement has been turned up to 11.
Really?
Corporations paying huge
Oh,
sums of
right.
money to get their product featured in a movie is far from being
That's in a
new trend
movie?
cinema.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Transformers.
come on. That's
There's
shameless.
nothing wrong with a studio getting some help with the budget and by having a few Budweiser signs pop up, and if you're doing it well, we shouldn't notice. But the same isn't true when you've got a blockbuster that has multiple scenes that pull you out
Stop.
of the film thanks
No.
to its in-your-face advertising. Like Magneto's raising of the RFK Stadium was cool and all, but all we could focus on was those giant pseudo-period adverts for Bud and Pepsi. And I mean, do we even need to mention Adam Sandler's f***ing lob-on for the likes of Dunkin' Donuts? Shilling set picks, that's what this man is. Again,
What?
it's not a newly emerging issue, it's just
didn't see
continuing
that?
to get
Classic.
worse. Done right, product placement is subliminal advertising that finds its way into the film. The way things are going now, though, the film is working its way around these
Yeah.
elements. Number 2, everything's reimagined. When Memento
commercial.
director Christopher
That's how
Nolan
TV
chose to
started, though.
deliver a brooding, realistic take on The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, he wasn't actually doing something totally new for the character. Back in the 80s, obviously, we had Frank Miller and his revolutionized Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Returns and Year One. Basically, they were Batman's life with a pitch black tint. Since the Dark Knight trilogy has come out, we've seen all of these slew of imitations that didn't quite understand the message that was trying to be put across. No matter how original the property, we've seen the likes of Alice in Wonderland, Godzilla, Maleficent, Snow White and the Huntsman, Hercules, TMNT, and even Batman's brighter counterpart in Man of Steel, all going the way of gritty reimagining. And that's just the
Oh,
overt
yeah.
ones. Plenty of other films have taken elements of their characters and tried to make it more real. Seeing childhood heroes old and past questioning their morality is fun at first, but it begins to wear when it's the only thing they do. And number 1, producers are overpowering directors.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
biggest shocks the Marvel film
yes.
community had in recent years was when Edgar Wright left the Ant-Man project that he'd been working on for 8 years. The intimate details probably won't be revealed for a long time, but as Wright put it in 2017, I wanted to make a Marvel movie, but I don't think they wanted to make an Edgar Wright movie. In other words, the producers took over.
Totally.
The film's protagonist, Scott Lang, is much more of an anti-hero than a straight-up good guy, acquiring the original Ant-Man suit during a burglary. Big Kev, aka the head of Marvel, didn't like Wright pushing this aspect and called for loads of rewrites. The director wasn't impressed, and tensions frayed. But this isn't the first time that Marvel have clashed with their directors, and it's really just another case in a long line of studio interference. The likes of the Marvel execs have as much of an impact on the finished product as the director themselves. Multiple minds on a project are not inherently bad, but when one of those minds is acting as an avatar of the studio, putting money ahead of everything else, the detrimental effect this can have on films should be obvious.
Yeah.
Hello, you've made it all the way to the end of the video. Aren't you good?
I was really pulled into that video.
Me too.
Probably also quite nice, so why not give one of those a little watch? You never know, you might find something you like. Or, who knows, I might be there as well. Ooh, spooky.
Cool.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Let's call it a day, Casey.
You don't want any Alice, yes?
I thought this was a great list, though. Sometimes I see lists from What Culture or other videos. Like, Kacey does list videos for Screen Rant and The Richest. And I usually completely disagree with her.
Do you watch them?
Oh, I watch all of them. And,
Do you?
And all the negative comments are my several YouTube accounts.
Get
Just
on
trying
board.
to take you down. So
Well, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, because I feel like if you have less of an ego, you're more likely to come back on this channel.
Ah, true. It's working.
It's working. That's how she got here. Their first point about trailer spoilers are getting worse, that's been a problem forever, actually. I think it's very common to see a trailer and go, that kind of gives away the whole movie. We've kind of been acting like this is a brand new thing, when it's not. It's actually not a brand new thing. If you go back to trailers for like the 70s or 80s or whatever, you'll see that those trailers, they give you everything. So we bitch about it, but it's always been that way. Kind of feels like it has been.
HBO does a good job of not doing that. I mean, that's TV, but like with Game of Thrones and Westworld, you're just like, I don't know what any of that meant.
It's kind of funny that they point out that Interstellar and Inception are 2 out of 3 original films that have broken worldwide box office. Nolan and J.J. Abrams, they're the best at like making you go, I don't exactly know what this is, but I really want to see it, you know?
JJ is really good at that. He likes mystery too.
JJ kind of gets on my nerves because
Why?
he's all about a mystery box that never has an answer. But trailers, yeah, I do agree. They tend to give away too much, but don't stop making them. Don't stop doing that.
I don't like it when the comedies, all of the jokes.
That's the worst.
That's just like, come on.
That's the worst when like the best jokes are in the trailer,
Right.
man. Oh, I hate that too. But then again, I feel like comedy can be even harder to advertise. If you don't have like consistently funny jokes throughout, you got no choice but to use the best jokes.
Best ones, yeah.
Blockbuster season is getting even bigger, I think, is another great point. Every month is an event. Yeah.
Right.
So it kind of makes blockbusters less exciting or less
Yeah.
special. You know what I mean?
Let's say it was like, Black Panther, huge numbers. Now Infinity War, it's like huger numbers. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It just gets bigger
It
and bigger every
keeps
year.
climbing and climbing.
It's-
Wonder Woman and then blah, blah, blah. We just keep topping it. So do you think it's going down or do you think it's helping?
I don't know if it creates this awesome momentum snowball effect or if it's just going to get overwhelming after a while,
Right.
you know? I feel like that's why they keep trying to make their films even crazier now and bigger and then make them even more special when you go to the theaters. Like IMAX converted. The 3D trend is kind of going down now.
Thank God.
People don't seem to be gravitating towards 3D
No.
anymore. I feel like they're also trying to make them bigger too because most people are streaming now. Do you remember there was a time where movies used to come out like a year? You have to wait a year before it came out on DVD or VHS.
Right.
Now, once
And
they're
they're
out of the
like,
theater,
oh
it's like
my gosh.
a month later they're on DVD, so you can just wait for
The movie's
it.
out on VHS. Yeah, Mom.
Yeah, especially with animated movies too. You
Right.
just have to wait like a whole year.
Now it's just like pretty immediate.
I do kind of feel that way. Like you brought up the word indie season.
Yeah.
We're probably never gonna get that. That's why I think all Oscar movies are pushed to like December. We got no other choice.
Right.
Because the whole year is just taken
Why
up.
does there
with
need
other
to be a
movies.
season though? Like,
Why
can't we
can't it
have?
just be spread out?
Why can't we have a blockbuster and an indie film in the same month? What's wrong with that?
I don't. I'll call Hollywood for you. I'm sorry,
I need
Casey.
the answers.
Movies end halfway through the story.
That's annoying.
I think the last time that really pissed me off was Hunger Games, Mockingjay, the last one, the part 1 of Mockingjay.
Right.
That pissed me off.
Right.
When I was like,
Come on.
You just like cut your movie halfway through. There's not even like a solid chapter conclusion.
Right.
It just abruptly ends. And that gets on my nerves when they do that. I could see something like how Lord of the Rings, each one of those felt like a whole chapter was complete. But then now sometimes they do that where like, oh God, he's ended.
I was just thinking about Harry Potter because I feel like Harry Potter does a good job of keeping them individual movies. But I felt that way with Fantastic Beasts. I was like,
does that, yeah.
Cool. When is the movie going to start?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it works really well because I think The Dark Knight did that perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, technically the story's not complete, but if they never made a sequel, I think it would be fine.
Right.
You know? That's a really hard line to find.
I think you got to finish the story and then start a new one and cut it off. Tease something.
I miss those days where you would end a story. You know? What happened to that?
What is an ending? 3 acts. There's no money in 3-act structure.
Movies are becoming just an expensive TV show you tune into.
That's what
now.
I was thinking.
That's what the MCU is.
Yo,
it's
like,
just a big television show.
Well, I'm watching all these series that are like Game of Thrones that, I mean, they're like an hour or so each episode, and I'm like, this is 7 movies. This is 10 movies that I've just watched.
TV is becoming movie quality, and movies are becoming TVs.
TV episodes. Oh, trippy.
Intellectual conversation with Greg and Kacey tonight. And I just had to ruin it, didn't I? Audiences complain about sequels but won't watch anything else. That's so true. I love that. Especially in LA, I hear that all the time. Every movie's a remake or a sequel. Stop fucking watching if it bothers you so much. I'm already at that point where I've just grown to accept that. It's just a genre to me now.
Right.
And
it's like a brand. It's like, why do you buy this paper towel over that paper towel? Oh, because
sequel toilet paper.
I've used this one before, and my mom used this one, and my neighbors used this one. That name identity.
Yeah, the familiarity that we're all just grown accustomed to. I kind of just feel like the original ideas are not as pushed in front of our face. They're still there, though.
Yeah.
Like, the movie still exists.
Like, Get Out was an original idea.
Yeah, the only original movie anyone can seem to reference anymore
is
is Get Out. Yeah. So
it shocked people.
I like when your head goes, like, halfway out of frame. Yeah. I like when...
I'll just talk over here.
Yeah. Well, Get Out, I mean, we just saw a trailer for a movie called Hereditary, which looks great.
Which
A Quiet Place is killing it at the box office right now. That's an original piece of content.
It just has to be horror.
It just has to be horror. That's it. It's what the people give a shit about. Or if it's like some crazy Oscar season push. These musical tie-ins, I do think that can be annoying.
That's weird, though. I've never really noticed that.
Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That Imagine Dragons whatever song. That one?
No, I don't. Keep going. What is it?
Oh boy, you know, you got me in a pickle here.
I just wanted to get
Yeah, I know you did. I'm like, I don't remember the lyrics though. The best musical time I think in recent years was the Wiz Khalifa song "See You Again" for Furious 7.
Oh yeah.
Because that was all in tribute to Paul Walker.
Right.
And then they use it in the ending, and that makes sense.
Right.
But when I hear like that Suicide Squad song, I'm like, I'm probably not even gonna hear this song in the actual movie. Maybe at the credits I'll hear it. Like a lot of Kendrick Lamar and Black Panther too is like.
I was so looking forward to that whole movie being all Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, like Kendrick Lamar
and there was
rap.
like one song.
Yeah,
that's like
exactly.
kind of good.
That never excites me now. If I hear that, like when I heard Kendrick Lamar was doing that, I'm like, cool, it's just gonna be a Kendrick Lamar album. It's not really gonna be in the movie, but everyone's getting excited about that. Product placement has been turned up to 11.
I haven't noticed this, but these are gross.
I think especially in the giant blockbusters, it's way too noticeable.
I've just noticed it being really gross in music videos lately. Oh, cool, I see you're using that specific phone. It's like very much like a glamour shot of the product in the music videos. I haven't noticed this.
I definitely noticed it in like the Spider-Man ones for sure. Transformers, they are not shy about it.
They're shameless.
I noticed it mainly in action movies with their cars.
Oh.
When it's like Bond drives an Audi or something, you know? Or like Tony Stark. Always that same shot. They zoom where it becomes a car commercial for like 30 solid seconds.
That's true. I didn't realize that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're just into the movie.
I was just like, cool car.
Yeah. Oh. I want to buy one of those once the movie is done.
What a cool guy.
When car companies advertise in the movies, I'm like, who are the 15 people they're selling this to? I'll see an Audi commercial in an Iron Man movie, but I'm not like, I'm going to get an Audi once this movie's done. You know, like who actually does that?
Subtle brainwashing.
Subtle brainwashing.
That when you're rich, like Tony Stark, you should aspire to buy an Audi.
For the few billionaires who are watching this movie.
It's going to take you 50 years.
Yeah. I thought that like everything they said here is absolutely correct. Like
Yeah.
every single trend. And I can't really think of anything else that's destroying modern day movie trends.
You can't think of anything else?
What is? Why say that comment if you can't think of something at the top of your head? You can't think of anything. Really? Really, Greg? No. There's starting to be too much of a rise of diversity.
This is the second time you brought that up today.
Yeah, I just think like
What are you...
we need to go back to only white people and
No.
only men.
Only men. Hey.
Keep your feet planted so you
can't.
can push it. You'll
I'm
roll
taking
too.
over.
You'll roll too.
Oh, we're getting delirious.
Filming too long. Subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click notification bell so subscribe buttons don't mean jack shit on YouTube anymore. Kacey, follow her on Instagram and Twitter. She is a burlesque dancer.
What?
So I'm trying to get the male demographic of this channel
They're
to
gonna be
check you out.
disappointed.
That's fine. Let them hate on you.
Okay.
It reads as engagement for your Instagram. Kacey is a stripper in North Hollywood.
I'm not. Probably be making more money if
You
I were.
would make way more money. Lord knows I would be too. Working at the strip club as a bartender.
We're in the wrong business.
We're in the wrong business. We should just work at the strip club. Why are we here?
Let's go.
Oh God, I should whore myself out on Sepulveda Boulevard.
You know what would be sad is if you did that and nobody bit. Like you didn't get any business.
I feel like you think that's what would happen.
It might.
Oh, I'm gonna bring the camera and prove you.